Hi everyone. I want you to take just a moment and I want you to think about an environment where a guy or girl's fantasy land can actually come to life. A beautiful woman is inside, they cater to their desires and they spark their imagination, and they allow them to escape from reality. Now, a lot of people are going to react with disgust because especially women are going to say, "Oh my gosh, she's talking about a strip club." And I am. However, many people do not understand exactly the history and the origins of a gentleman's club or what goes on inside. So my name is Montana, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the origin of the gentleman's club, what takes place once you're inside, as well as the calculated effects that develop once you enter through the doors. Now, these aren't like your crazy, secret Asian massage parlors that we've all heard about. You know what I'm talking about? Not those. That's not what we're talking about here. I want to explain to you a little bit about the origin and the history of it. Gentlemen's clubs first became developed between the 18th and 19th century. They specifically catered to males, and women were not even allowed inside because it was their escape from reality. Women ruled the home domain. They ruled the house. So once men went there, they sort of lost a lot of their masculinity. So these gentlemen's clubs and these parlors allowed them a place to go and relax and hang out with their friends. And these clubs catered to specific demographics to include race, politics, literature, social class, wealth, and status. All of these things were contributing factors. One of the things that ran rampant in the clubs was gambling. So this was a huge ordeal. Men went there and they gambled their lives away. And each club had its own personality. So some of them would be more fun and some were more politically serious, where, you took the conversations very much to heart. So this is always something to take into consideration, that women were not always allowed in gentlemen's clubs. The development of the whorehouse didn't take place until probably about the 1920s and the 1930s. When this happened, automatically the word gentleman's club became a euphemism for the modern day strip club. So naturally, whenever you say gentleman's club, our first instinctive thought is going to be that, you're referring to a strip club. So, with that being said, and you understanding a little bit about the origin of it, let me explain to you what takes place once you get inside. So, for all of you men out there that think you completely understand, and for all of you women that are probably like, "Oh God, here we go," I'm going to give you a little bit of peace of mind. The atmosphere inside of a modern day gentleman's club is a facade. It's a complete facade. The moment you walk in, the first person you're going to be greeted by, besides the security guys with the little wands, is probably going to be some big, beautiful blonde who's extremely flirtatious. That's what I've experienced thus far. It's unnaturally flirtatious. She's going to place her hands on your hand. She's going to make direct eye contact and let that linger a little bit. But don't let it fool you, fellas, because she's only there to take your money. It's all about the money. All right? Once you walk inside, every single entertainer and dancer that you see is there to make tips. That is our sole purpose in working in a strip club. All right? Dancers are sort of like private contractors, and they actually don't make wages. So the only money they make from the time they walk in the door until the time they leave at night is the money that you contribute to them, as well as the door girl, and especially bartenders. I myself, I'm speaking from experience, I'm a bartender in a gentleman's club. I do receive a wage. However, I work for tips because the wages aren't exactly what you want them to be. It's not like going out to get hired for an hourly job where you work a 9 to 5. It doesn't work that way. I have to hustle just like everybody else. The one thing that I have been told is that from the moment a man walks in the door, we're supposed to be his best friend. Okay? It's a family. Just like you and I, every person working inside of there has the ability to recognize a name and a face. They can put two and two together. Some girls only associate faces with money, but you have your exceptions to the cases, as with, any situation. So, when I was first being trained, the one thing that I was taught was that dancers bring the men in, but bartenders keep them there longer. Okay? So it's my job to make sure that they feel as comfortable and relaxed as possible. Some of the ways that we do that, and this is a psychological factor, is we have things like televisions, video games, air hockey, and there's also a host of events such as Jello wrestling or Super Bowl parties. These things all take place for a reason, and I'm going to explain that to you. All right? So one of the things that we do, and women, don't get freaked out here, because, you know, if you've never experienced it, sometimes it is a really great atmosphere because it's very non-judgmental. People go there to take a break from all of the mundane things that they have to experience on a day-to-day basis. Okay? So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Jello wrestling. There's a psychological aspect that actually goes into a gentleman's club. Because if gentlemen's clubs operated like they used to in the 18th and 19th centuries, then they wouldn't be able to survive today. A lot of men have evolved, their perceptions of masculinity have evolved, and so the way that they perceive fun and bonding are two totally different things now. So strip clubs have taken into consideration that, yes, men are going to want to come in there to see the women. That's what keeps them in there, but there's only so much naked flesh that you can see before eventually there's a little bit of overexposure there. So what they do is they host a variety of events. It is psychologically proven, according to Julia Wood, that men bond better, create more personal, intimate relationships, and communicate better if they're experiencing a particular event. Good example is men that play on sports teams together. You watch guys that play football, they're like brothers together. They smack each other's asses, mind my language, and you know, there's a deep, intense bond there, okay? Whereas women tend to communicate on a single verbal communication medium, and that's it. Men like to bond, they like to do stuff together. So, not only are you catering to the natural nature of a masculine gender role by watching Jello wrestling, you've also got his buddies there with him, some other guys that are high-fiving him. They're all experiencing this together. It gives them more to talk about. They have something in common. So they're making memories and they're building bonds together. Some of them even have their wives with them, so that brings them that much more closer because they've experienced this together. So they've made this memory to share, and they can look back on later in life. Another thing is, from the moment that they walk in, we know exactly what they want. I know that sounds terrible, but it really is. Let's say, for instance, a guy walks in and he wants to watch football. It's going to be my job to bring him a beer. The moment he sits down, he doesn't even have to ask for it. And then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to talk to him about the fact that Tebow got traded to the Jets and whether or not Sanchez is actually going to get as much playing time as he thinks. These are all conversations that take place inside of a strip club. So, instead of worrying too much about it, I want you to think about the fact that men love to exert their masculinity. All right? And this is something that's never ever going to change. It's a business, just like anything else, so it has to operate on its own level. The one thing, and I will end it on this, the one thing that I've heard more than anything while working as a bartender, many men have said to me, "You are so beautiful, but my wife is much prettier." So then why do they come to strip clubs? Why do they come to strip clubs to relax, to have that beer, to watch that game when they could be doing it in the comfort of their own home? And the simple reason is they need to relax, they need their own space, they need to create their own memories and bond with new people. So that's what we're there for. If you've never experienced it, then I highly recommend doing so, just because it's 9 times out of 10, if it's a good gentleman's club, you're going to have a great experience. It's going to be the best service you've ever gotten anywhere, hands down. So now that I've discussed a couple of these things with you, all right, it is sort of a taboo topic, I'm going to recap a little bit over what we've gone over today. We've talked about the origin of the gentleman's club, what actually goes on inside, and what we know and understand as today's strip club. All right, the employees are there to create these effects in this environment for the men and women that all decide that they want to take part, in these activities. This information may not change your opinion, and it may not make you like it anymore. It may repulse you, and you might not even want to hear me talk anymore, but that's completely okay. But it has been proven to make some women feel more empowered, knowing that it is all a facade. The husbands don't go there to cheat. They don't go there to, a lot of them don't come there to look at the women. They really don't. They don't come there to get dances. They come there to hang out with other guys and watch football and drink beers. So I hope that you've enjoyed this presentation, even slightly a little bit, and I hope that you appreciate the insight. Thank you.